Does it ever happen to you in your life that you are unable to say no to anyone, whether it's in workplace, it's in relationships, it's in friendships? You're kind of unable to say no to that person, or when someone is asking you for a favor. Are you like a peasant or a weak person who cannot say no to anyone in any situation that doesn't serve your self interest or it's not fun for you? A group of friends asking you to go out and you don't want to go out and you're having a very hard time to say no to them. You're more like someone with a king mentality who is physically and mentally strong, who can say no to anyone, whether it's a social gathering, whether it's a relationship, or situations that doesn't really serve your self-interest. Rejecting is not just saying no, it's about reclaiming your self energy and self worth. Rejection is a skill that often most of us overlook, but in the long term, it could actually affect us profoundly. But then, regardless of this comparison, as a man, you have to realize the manipulative responses when it comes to rejection. You could be in a situation you want to reject someone, but then you get some manipulative responses. They play the victim, or they say, "You never valued me," or they start crying, being emotionally manipulative or emotionally blackmailing you that why did you leave me? And I'm going to give you a really good example of that. I was personally in a relationship with this chick. And then when I broke up with her, because things were not aligning, because we're not getting along, then all of a sudden she started crying. And I do have this soft spot of being kind to people. And I don't really like seeing people crying in front of me. And when I saw her, I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to break up with you. I got manipulated there. And guess what? 2 days later, she broke up with me. She's like, she wanted that upper hand on me. So, on the other hand, we should also embrace the integrity responses because there are certain individuals that when we reject them, they actually take a step back and they reevaluate their actions. They think about that, what they did, what everything went, how everything went wrong, and they start processing everything again and again until they figure out that maybe they were the one to blame. And those people are actually worth welcoming back in our lives, which I don't really always recommend it, but they at least have the integrity and they also respect your decision and they let you go. Rejection is not just limited to personal relationships, it's actually equally vital on professional settings as well. For example, you're at work and your manager wants you to do extra shifts and you don't feel like doing it. But since you're an empath and you're a nice person, they take advantage of you and you become that yes person all the time. They'd be like, "Hey Kevin, do you want to pick up this extra shift next week?" You're like, "You know what? I really want to impress the manager. I want to take that shift." And guess what? When it comes to corporate world, not taking any sick leave. This is a spoiler alert for all of you guys because I've worked in corporate world. Not taking sick days, working every day, busting your ass off, and also being the yes person for the managers. Guess what? You're not gonna get that promotion. It's just a manipulative tactics that managers use. Because when you um, take that extra or pick up that extra shift, then they're gonna be like, "Thank you very much. We really appreciate you." Or we really, because you're gonna feel good. You're gonna feel valued because they use those words. Because words, like I said in my previous video, words carries energy. That's why we call it spelling because it casts spell on you. They say, "We really appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you very much for picking up the shift." You feel valued. You're like, "I'm a valued member." Guess what? The next day you get into a car accident, no one gives a damn about you. So when it comes to workplace, if you don't want to do something, learn to say no without feeling guilt. Because if you're not obligated by law, you should not be complying with it. If it doesn't serve your self-interest, just walk away. And then again, when it comes to romantic relationships, you try you have to try your utmost best to avoid these toxic relationships or manipulative relationships. If you're in a manipulative relationship with someone and it doesn't serve your self interest, or let's just say it's someone who keeps on pushing your buttons, crosses every boundary, and they always play the victim, you have to cut them off, because no relationship is ever worth your mental peace and your self interest and your self respect. And I can say that from personal experience because I've walked away from relationships that didn't serve me well. And I would say the last relationship I had, it was back in like 3 years ago. I haven't dated anyone since then. But since that, I've learned how to respect myself. Because here's the thing, walking away from a relationship that you invested so much emotionally, it's really, really difficult. And as a man, if you can say no to a relationship, or you can say no to someone that you have so much emotional feelings towards, and you're still ready to leave them just for that respect that you have for yourself, then I would say you are a high value man. Because any high value man would put their self respect above any relationship, above any girl. And when it comes to saying no, it could be a universal thing. And when I say that, learn how to say no in social settings, or in professional settings, in romantic settings, and it applies to almost everyone. I would say it's even from your parents, your family members, your brothers, your best friends, everyone has boundaries. Because if there are certain situations that you feel disrespected, or if it doesn't serve you in the long term, then you should just walk away from it. Because here's the thing, a lot of people who are having a really hard time to say no to someone, it's usually due to their high sense of empathy and their high sense of kindness. And kindness in general, it's okay to be kind, it's okay to be a good person, but too much kindness can get you fucked over in the long term. And there's a quote my mom always says in Farsi. It says that as dil suzi kun suzi mesha, but in English, if you say it, it doesn't really make sense, but you would get the point. It says that sometimes burning your heart too much is gonna turn into burning your ass at the end. So I know it doesn't make sense, but in Farsi it makes sense. But if you're like a Farsi viewer, you would understand what I'm saying. But yeah, you have to know your boundaries with everyone. Set your limits, because even the closest person to you can take advantage of you unknowingly. I'm not even saying like they know that. Subconsciously they're gonna do that, and you're gonna be like, why are they doing this to me? And guess what? You teach people how to treat you. People doesn't treat you in a certain way. You allow certain behaviors to slide in. Because if you slide in a certain behavior, red flag one, two, three, and that person is gonna think that, oh, maybe that person is okay with that behavior. So you have to choose with people that what kind of behavior is allowed and what kind of behavior is not allowed. All right. So just at the end, I would say learning the skill could take a very long time. It's not something that you're going to learn over time. I'm one of those person that it took me a while to learn how to say no to people, regardless of how they felt and how close they were to me. Because if you don't know how to say no to people, guess what? It could actually ruin your relationship as well with people if you don't know how to say no in the long term. And that's coming from experience. Um, so this is something that's going to take you a while. Practice it, take baby steps. Let's just say you're a friend, or a group of friends wants to invite you to a party and you don't feel like going, just say no. Maybe you feel uncomfortable at that moment, but you should find comfort in discomfort, because comfort zone is the death of a man. So you should never have a comfort zone in your life as a man. All right, so this is the wrap for tonight, for tonight's video. And just like usual, be arrogant, have pride, while being confident and humble in your character. All right.